I think my mom thought my life in Tallahassee wasn't good.
Your mom ever called Dan Markel any disparaging names around this time frame?
She did.
Okay, including piece of
Yes.
And you testified on direct that anybody in your family that had anything to do with it should be held responsible. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And that includes you, doesn't it?
Anyone who's responsible.
Weighing in on Wendi, how did Donna's daughter do on the stand? Plus, for the first time ever, Donna's oldest and estranged son testifies. So will Rob Adelson tip the scales of justice in his mother's case? Also this hour, we've got more twists and turns to tell you about in the case of missing baby Emmanuel Harrow. The baby's father, Jake Harrow, seen aiding in the search for his son's body. And mom, Rebecca Harrow, spotted with a big black eye. So how did she get the bruise? And closing arguments begin today in the speeding trooper homicide trial. So how will the small town mayor fare with the jury? And was he at fault with the accident? We're spotlighting his testimony. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Tuesday morning to you and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. Are you ready for some coffee and some court? That's what we do at this time every weekday morning. We get you all pumped up and ready to go for the big day ahead on Court TV Live. So grab that cup of coffee. It's time for my opening statement. I don't remember. I was gonna do an opening statement this morning, but I just don't remember anything to talk about. Who am I? You guessed it. Weak memory Wendi. Her answer to just about every other question was, I don't remember. Can you imagine going through life like that? That must be hard, having that selective amnesia hit you. Here's how it went something like this: incriminating question, then her I don't remember answer. She was up there trying to win an Academy Award. Pants on fire, weak memory Wendi. That jury has to see right through her game. You know, this is the fourth time she's testified like this, and you know that she knows the answers to all of those questions. If I were on that jury, I would be mad. I would feel like she wasted my time. All those I don't remember answers took up hours of their lives that they can never get back. So instead of calling her weak memory Wendi, maybe she's a waste of time Wendi. I don't know. But with either nickname, her pants were on fire. I do know that. And I don't think she will be free to enjoy her alibi TV much longer. I think her days without criminal charges are numbered for what happened to her ex-husband, Dan Markel. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
At about 5 seconds before this, you're driving about 90 miles an hour. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And you are not running lights and sirens?
No, ma'am.
In Georgia, we've got the closing arguments beginning at 9 a.m. in the speeding trooper homicide trial for defendant A.J. Scott. In California, we've got rapper Cardi B expected to testify in her civil assault case today. Court gets underway at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And in Florida, we've got the state's case resuming at 8:45 a.m. in the murder trial of Mama Donna Adelson. And that is, of course, our top story for you. How did Donna's daughter do on the stand? Try saying that 3 times fast. Donna, look at this scene getting kind of emotional here when Wendi walked into the courtroom. Wendi testified that she had nothing to do with the murder for hire plot to kill her ex-husband, Danny Markel. Her story remains very similar to what she said during the 3 previous trials where she testified. On cross, Donna's attorneys got into it a little bit with Wendi, and they argue that she had more to do with Danny Markel's murder than she's letting on. The defense team ended the cross, forcing Wendi to state the fallout from the homicide.
Ms. Adelson, you would agree that when Danny Markel was murdered on June the 18th of 2014, your little boys lost their father for the rest of their life.
On the day that he was murdered was July 18th, and yes, my boys lost their father.
They're growing up as 11 years have passed without his influence in their life in any way. Isn't that correct?
I wouldn't say without his influence in any way, but yes, they've grown up without their father.
He's not here to give them advice.
He is not.
He can't come to any of their functions, sports, anything else.
Correct.
They're not eating kosher like they would have with their father.
They are not.
And you testified on direct that anybody in your family that had anything to do with it should be held responsible. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And that includes you, doesn't it?
Anyone who's responsible.
When Wendi was done for the day, she was seen hugging her father, Harvey, in the gallery. Aw. So now, let's welcome in our guests to weigh in on Wendi. What a power panel we've put together here in the studio with me. Let's welcome criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Noah Pines. Joining us remotely, parenting and family relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth. And also joining us remotely, body language expert Rodney Smith. Good morning to you all. Let's go around the room and get some initial reactions to Wendi. Noah, what'd you think?
Well, let's talk, Julie, first about how Donna was dressed. Wasn't she dressed perfectly? You and I talked about this last week off air. I wonder if someone's listening to our conversations, but dressed perfectly. I was not impressed with the stage direct at all. I just found it very scripted, very boring. And it was like, do you remember your mom saying this? No. Well, let me show you the email. And it was just very rote. I almost would have like the lawyers to almost agree, like, hey, let me just lead this witness, because we know what the answer is going to be. The answer is, I don't really remember, because you don't remember every email and text you sent, but you know they had the receipts. So let's just get in with the receipts.
Right, right. And you know she knows. She's been, this case has been hanging over her head for years.
Yes and no. Like, if you asked me every email I sent Julie and every text, I wouldn't remember exactly. And you know the prosecutor knows exactly what she's getting at, but it was just super scripted. It was
Yes, we don't remember every email, right. But think about when you're prepping for trial. You know this, how you prep your clients. No doubt she went over all that, no doubt. It was so frustrating. There. Yeah, there was. Dr. Sue, let's go to you next. Your thoughts on Miss Wendi?
Oh, yes. Well, you know, I think who was scripted was dear old Wendi. I thought that her testimony was very dry, that it was rehearsed, and I agree with you, Julie, that all I kept hearing was, I don't remember. I don't remember. And you know what we say about that in psychology? That you're either lying or that you're not taking accountability for things. So you can make your decision on which one that is. It may be both. But what I thought was really interesting is that every time she wouldn't take accountability and said, I don't remember, the prosecutor called her out on it. So I don't think Wendi did well at all yesterday. And it seems like every time she testifies, somebody goes to jail.
Dr. Sue, you're so right. I agree with you, and yes, spot on. And I think it's going to be her next time. I think she's going to be the one. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, but that's beside the point. Rodney Smith, we want to hear from you. The body language, looking at her. Tell us, please, if anything jumped out at you.
So from the onset, when I take a look at Wendi's face, one of the first things I wonder is if she's had some type of Botox, because the forehead area here, we don't see much stimulation or movement in certain areas when she moves her eyebrows. So it forces us to almost look towards the lower part of her face, just below the eye. So we start to see cheek movements, we start to see mouth movements, we start to see some lip compression, almost the lips coming into the mouth, and then also downward on the sides of the corners. What that tells us is something is being repressed or suppressed, something is being held in. There are certain parts on here where she is asked about accountability, and I noticed if you look at this without the volume and just watch what she does, the first thing that she does is move her head in a left and right motion as to motion no. And then you also see a jaw clench followed with a swallow at the same time. That jaw clench shows that there is some type of anger, there is some type of tension that is being held in. And to piggyback on what everyone else said about stating that I don't remember. What I found is a lot of times legally that's probably the safest thing to say because memory is fallible. And by saying I don't remember, it puts them in a position somewhat of a little bit of power because it avoids certainty and it prevents them from committing perjury at a later time, especially when evidence can be shown, because it doesn't say that it didn't happen. It's just saying I can't recall it at the moment.
Great observations, Rodney. And you're right, legally, Noah Pines, this is a perfect question for you. So when a witness says something like that, some courtrooms will make you be stuck. If it's, I don't recall, a lot of times then the judge says, okay, go down the road of refreshing. Your thoughts on what Wendi was trying to do, perhaps as a lawyer?
Well, again, she knows that the prosecutor knows exactly the answer that they want. She's testified before. They have, you know, not only prior testimony, but they have other evidence. So, you know, it was an exercise, and it was a bad exercise. And I think the prosecution could have done it a little bit better. But of course, she's going to say, I don't remember. Maybe it's like, I don't remember exactly what I said. But sure, this is what I said. But you know, the prosecutors tab whatever.
Sure.
You know, or look at this exhibit, and they have the answer that they want.
Right.
But I just thought it was, I mean, what mother hasn't been upset with, you know, their child's spouse or girlfriend or significant other at some point? And I thought it was, I mean, I wasn't really impressed with that direct of her. I really wasn't.
No, I wasn't either. Were you surprised the prosecutor didn't grill her more? Grill her, you know, when they had the chance.
It's more of, you know, your mom loved you and didn't love the person who you were breaking up with. Okay,
yeah.
That's every mom in the world, okay? Your mom wants you to go back out and date more. That's every mom in the world. Like, what evidence, where's the evidence?
Yeah.
Okay, we've established your mom didn't like your deceased husband. Got it, check. You don't need to spend an hour on it. I mean, I was watching in preparation for today, and I was bored.
Sure, yeah, it was lackluster. I expected a lot more, because I think we all think about what we would have done in that position. Every trial attorney has a different style. I would have gone at her. We did see defense counsel go at her, though. Dr. Sue, what did you think about that when things shifted to the cross? What did you observe, please?
Well, I think they were trying to show that Wendi had a lot more involvement in this than you know, people expected. It's a good strategy, I think, for them, because if they can show that, they could show that she was in this with Donna, and that if that was the case, then, you know, Donna didn't mastermind this all by herself. So I thought that they did an excellent job on Wendi in that situation. I don't know if it's going to hold. And that's the problem, because there's so much different evidence coming from all over the place. And, you know, Julie, at the end of the day, I just think all this could have been solved if Donna just would have moved to Wendi. And maybe that's the question that nobody's asking. Why didn't Donna just move towards her daughter? Why does she have to stay in Miami at a high-rise apartment building, as the son said, where all the celebrities live?
Go ahead, Dr. Sue. I love it. Rodney Smith, we want to show you another clip for you to assess Wendy's body language, please. This is where she's talking about her mom not liking her ex-husband, Danny.
Did you say in that interview, quote, "My parents have more reason to dislike Danny than almost anyone else"?
At that point, I was sitting with law enforcement for 6 hours and had just been told that Danny had been shot. So I was in shock, and I was trying to help the police think of anything I could possibly think of that would be helpful.
Your mom ever called Dan Markel any disparaging names around this time frame?
She did.
Okay, including piece of
Yes.
Rodney Smith, tell us, please, what did you see?
So from both the mother and the daughter, what we start to see is an increase in rapid blinking, which shows us that the brain is doing a level of cognitive overload. There's a tremendous amount of stress. At this point, where as the attorney started asking a lot of closed-ended questions, in certain clips, We see it just very, very briefly here. There's certain nostril flaring where she's trying to take in certain amounts of oxygen. We also hear that in certain clips where we can hear her breathing through the mic. That last question was a stumper for her because she gives a direct area of eye blocking where she looks away, because that is a slow blink of distaste, of acceptance of information of what she either saw or what she heard. But one interesting thing lastly is where they asked her, did you say this, before she starts to say, well, I was in there for 6 hours, and starts to give excuses as to why she may have said or provided information. If you look at that clip without the volume again, without her talking, you'll start to see these slow head nods, which in the affirmative, we always say typically a head nod up and down acknowledges yes, a side-to-side motion represents no. So we see that at the onset of when she starts answering that question, but then she follows up to try to give this caveat, well, I was there for an extended amount of time.
Awesome analysis, Rodney, as always. Boy, this is really helpful. We have to say a big thanks to our expert guests, Rodney Smith and Sue Kornbluth. Thank you both for weighing in on Wendi. We're not done talking about the Adelsons. More coming up in the show. Noah's coming with us. Do the same at home, please. Here's what's next.
How has this case impacted the community?
It's really sad. Everyone's mad. Like, you could, if you didn't want him, but you could have just gave him to someone who did.
Baby Emmanuel Harrow still missing, and his father apparently helping police in the search. We'll explain. And former trooper A.J. Scott testifying in his own defense. Will it sway the jury?
Matriarch of the Adelson family gets arrested.
Donna Adelson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law, Dan Markel.
Prosecutors say a bitter child custody battle was the motive for the murder-for-hire plot. Now that Donna has turned into a defendant, what's next for the Adelson clan?
Now that the ship is really sinking fast, blood doesn't matter that much.
The Matriarch Mastermind murder trial. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
I have kids of my own. I couldn't think of myself being a mother letting something like this slide. That's why I'm getting emotional, because I can't. I will do anything for my kids.
What are you hoping for at this point?
Like I said, probably justice. Justice that they find the baby. God willing, they find him alive. And justice that these parents or anybody else who was involved get what they deserve.
No new updates as of this time. That is the latest from investigators in the case of missing 7-month-old Emmanuel Harrow. His parents, though, could be in court for their first appearance today. Nearly 2 weeks since their son went missing, Jake and Rebecca Harrow have been charged with baby Emmanuel's murder. Both of them are being held right now without any bond. And during the searching on Sunday, Emmanuel's father, Jake Harrow, was spotted with detectives. So this would have been after his arrest. So he's in the jail-issued clothing there in red. You can see him. Search and rescue crews were out combing the area, being assisted by cadaver dogs, and he was with them. But sadly, no evidence of baby Emmanuel still. So will the baby ever be found? Let's talk about that. Let's bring back in the studio with me criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Noah Pines, and joining us remotely, private investigator, military veteran, also retired from the NYPD, Manuel Gomez. Good morning to you both. So starting with the search of for the baby, this precious little 7-month-old baby Emmanuel. Manuel, do you think that he's ever going to be found?
I think that it'll be possible that it'll be found, not highly likely. And the reason why, because the area where they were searching, one is almost like a ravine down the slope by a highway. And that area, they have coyotes, they have mountain lions. So if they threw the body in that ditch area, one of those predators could have grabbed off with that body. It's a small baby, and there's no doubt in my mind that one of them could have dragged off and ate it. Unfortunately, that's gruesome, but it's the reality of what's in those area and the predators. Two, the fact that he's there with them tells me that he did make a deal, and he's trying to save his life by doing the search and showing them, hey, we dropped the body over here. Unfortunately, the fruits were none because, as I said, there's too many predators in that area that would grab a body.
Great observations. And let's talk about the one you mentioned, Manuel, about could he be making a deal? Noah, I wanted to ask you about that. Tell us, please, is that unusual to see somebody being out of the jail, of course, with law enforcement, out on a search?
It's very unusual. You don't typically see that. He wouldn't be out there if he didn't have some information to give. I mean, I've never had that in any case I've ever prosecuted or I think maybe one case I prosecuted, we tried to get somebody to go out to a scene, but they were playing us. But it is, 1% of the time, if that. And so clearly something is up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Let's take a listen to some more reaction from the community members. Not just law enforcement searching, but members of the community have been combing various areas trying to find this little baby.
In my opinion, I think he's just giving them the runaround. Because, why didn't they find him? He's just trying to be not in prison or jail for as long as he can, in my opinion. I don't know. I feel like if he was going to be truthful about it, they would have found him.
How has this case impacted the community?
It's really sad. Everyone's mad. If you didn't want him, you could have just gave him to someone who did.
Yeah, so true. I'm sure so many people would have taken that precious baby in. Manuel, tell me something, this is very unpleasant to think about, but this is just the reality of these cases we have here. Let's say Dad knew exactly where to take the search crews. Let's say he led them to the area where the baby's body was disposed of, but they don't find the baby. Is it possible wildlife or something could have gotten to the baby? I'm just thinking, if they take him out of the jail and he doesn't, the search doesn't produce anything, you would have to wonder, okay, either he's lying about where the area is, but I don't know why he would lie. If he's out in his, jail garb, he must have said something. Curious what you think about why no baby Emmanuel?
Well, I think you're exactly right. He did make some type of deal because that's why he's out. They wouldn't have him out like my colleague said. It's very highly unusual. The fact that he's walking around showing the search teams, but they found no body is, again, like I said, the chances of it being one of these carnivores, these mountain lion or coyote that took off with that baby is extremely high. But there's one area that I don't understand why they're not searching. And that area, which is ideal to get rid of a baby's body, would be in the construction zone where the mother was at, where they had cement and all types of things going around. She could have dropped the body there. Oh, he could have as well. I don't understand why they're not searching that area. But I could see why him taking to an area that possibly is not where the location of the body is, because then he shows, well, at least I cooperated with law enforcement so that I still get to keep my deal. That is what could be happening.
Oh, I love that. Let's keep going down that road. Noah, so let's say he is lying and deliberately misleading investigators, obstructing justice, dare I say it. Could you see more charges for him?
Obviously, yes. And I don't know. I mean, maybe he doesn't know exactly. Maybe she dumped the body and he's just trying to help with the information that he has. I mean, you have to be a real sociopath to kill a child and then dump a child and then lie about where the child is, because when you're out searching, you're getting everyone's hope up. So that would be the trifecta, if you ask me, of sociopathic behavior.
I'm with you, Noah. Let's drill down some more on Mom's story and that big black eye on her face.
We come to you guys asking you to help us find our son. He was abducted last night from Big 5. Somebody struck my wife while she was trying to change his diaper. And we just ask if anybody knows anything to please contact Yucaipa Police Department.
Don't hesitate, just call.
And many of us remember this moment. Jake and Rebecca Haro pleading to the public for help after baby Emmanuel went missing, so they said. And Rebecca specifically claimed she was attacked from behind while she was in a store parking lot changing the baby's diaper. She says she got knocked out cold from this attack from behind, but yet she's got this black eye on the front of her face. somehow, but told investigators she didn't see who hit her. And investigators determined that this kidnapping she was talking about did not occur. So when and how did she get that black eye? Manuel Gomez, let's talk about that. Do you have a theory on this?
Yes. I mean, I'm actually glad you showed this picture because, as I said before, this black eye was not that day. It was actually healing. If you look at the black eye, it's not purple. It's actually, there's remnants of a little bit of yellow on the edges. Shows that that injury was there before that. Second, the video just showed with the husband and the wife is perfect because you notice something key. Nobody is crying. What mother would be not hysterically crying? She's not crying, and neither is the father. Now, I know people handle emotions differently, but I'm sorry. This is the disappearance and possibly the death of your baby. Any human being would be hysterically in tears. They are not. It is clearly an act, and I believe that she is defending the husband, but she doesn't know he turned on her.
That's really good, Manuel. I'm with you. I have suspicions about him hitting her. I have suspicions about this baby died somehow. We know he has got a history of harming babies. He harmed his daughter a few years ago. She's still disabled from that event. He's a felon. I have suspicions about him, and I wonder if he hit her. That's my question. We'll wait to see what happens when these two appear in court today. Manuel Gomez, you got cases to work, cases to solve. Black Ops, private investigators is your business. Thank you so much for weighing in and giving us your expertise. Noah's coming with us. Come with us as well at home. You can go get some more coffee during the break if you like. Here's what's next.
Do you remember going left or right? Well, when I noticed the car to the left, I went to the right in the right lane. And why? Why did you go to the right lane? Because I mean, thinking that they would see me, I figured they would end up stopping right there, and I didn't want a chance to hit them.
Former trooper A.J. Scott testifies in his own defense. We're spotlighting his testimony in that fatal crash. Plus, testimony set to resume any minute now in the homicide case for Mama Donna Adelson. Who will the state call next?
He informed us that. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Take your time. He told us that 2 people had passed away. He didn't give names.
Oh, that was so heartbreaking. Remember that moment? This morning in our spotlighting, we're getting ready for the closing arguments in the speeding trooper homicide trial. The defendant, though, taking the stand, explaining what happened the night that his patrol car crashed into another vehicle, causing 2 deaths. A.J. Scott was fired following the accident and is now the mayor of Buchanan, Georgia. He's accused of speeding without lights and sirens on and slamming into a vehicle with 4 people inside. Isabella Chinchilla and Kylie Lindsay were killed. And here, Scott is explaining what he did when he saw the other vehicle. Let's listen.
What do you remember doing right before the crash? As far with your car? Just driving. Okay. All right, moments before the crash, which direction did you turn, left or right? When I noticed the car to the left, I went to the right in the right lane. And why? Why did you go to the right lane? Because I mean, thinking that they would see me, I figured they would end up stopping right there, and I didn't want a chance to hit them.
Did you see those signs as you drove by them?
No, ma'am.
You did not?
I don't believe I did.
Okay, have you driven by them before?
I had to, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so just to be clear, on this particular evening, you are exceeding that person's speed. At about 5 seconds before this, you're driving about 90 miles an hour. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And you are not running lights and sirens?
No, ma'am.
So he was speeding at the time of this accident, The other vehicle did not yield. So the question is, who's at fault? That's what the jury is ultimately deciding here. Let's talk about it. Let's bring in our expert guests. I want to welcome in crime scene reconstruction expert. You know him from the Alec Murdaugh case, Dr. Kenny Kinsey, and attorney Randolph Rice, who also served as a prosecutor. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Dr. Kenny Kinsey, would you weigh in on this, please? The idea of who's at fault and what the jury has to sort through. Share with us your expertise on who you think may have been at fault here and why, please.
Miss Julie, anytime potentially there's a loss of life and the good guys are at fault, it makes it especially bad and especially tough to defend. My subordinates were always taught that you're at fault regardless of the situation. If it's not mechanical and if it's not environmental, then you owe a certain duty to the public to drive in a safe manner. And the hypocritical part of it, unfortunately, is that it's probably the biggest complaint that agencies have. And where these intersections are set up and where the engineers create these intersections on these highways, they are designed for that. And I noticed a play on words, suggested speed. They are designed for that posted speed. So even if you mitigate it and even if the driver of the other vehicle is partially at fault, I don't believe it helps you here when you're driving almost twice the posted speed limit.
Really appreciate that, Dr. Kinsey. Randolph, tell me, when we think about this legal admission this defendant made, admitting to the speeding, going nearly 90 miles per hour, what does that do for either side of the case, in your view, please?
Well, I think it certainly helps the defense because the jury can see that he is, I think, an honest individual that's willing to get up on the stand and take some blame for this, but say to the jury, hey, look, I made a mistake. This wasn't a mistake that I intended, and that's not obviously the element of the crime, but it's not something I intended to do, and I tried to prevent this accident, which may go a long way with the jury.
Appreciate it, Randolph. Dr. Kenny Kinsey, let me direct you back to something we've been wondering about here at Court TV, and we don't have any crash reconstruction experts at our network here. We were looking at this and how the trooper wound up veering to the right, which doesn't make sense to a lot of people when they were at the point of almost impact. And he was asked about this. And here, we're going to play this video. If you're triggered by this, look away. If you've been in a car accident, this might be upsetting to you. But look how, yeah, he goes right, and some wonder if he had gone left, if this could have been avoided. In the moment, I know it's hard, but would love your thoughts on this.
Yes, ma'am. It shows he's human, and it shows his reaction was contrary to the training. The training is to turn into the potential collision, but he's human, reactionary. You're going to try to avoid it and go right. And unfortunately, this is fairly common with not just law enforcement, but any accident, choosing the wrong direction. And the thought behind it is if you're on a 2-lane with no divider, you go to the right because you don't want to veer into oncoming traffic. That's not the situation here. You have an earthen median divider. So it just shows he's human. It shows an element of being human.
Appreciate that, Dr. Kenny Kinsey. In this moment, the jury's seen over and over again. It's awful watching that crash. Randolph, tell me, when it comes to, what's really going to tip the scales here, for this jury? I wonder, is it going to be the video?
Well, the jury's going to have to really apply the law and the jury instructions here. And unfortunately, the jury instructions, from my reading of it, doesn't allow for what's called contributory negligence, meaning the other driver, the victims, did they contribute to this accident? It's a very strict standard saying if you cause the death of another individual in an accident unintentionally because of speeding or maybe a lane change that you don't make, you theoretically could be convicted of this crime.
Appreciate it, Randolph. Let's go back a little bit to the trooper's testimony. We have a clip. He is on the stand on direct here, talking about not having the lights and the sirens on at the time. Let's watch.
You did not have lights and sirens on, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you a little bit about lights and sirens. Had there ever been an occasion where you have gone to a scene or gone to an accident without your lights and sirens?
The majority of the crashes we did not respond with lights and sirens.
Do you remember going left or right?
Well, when I noticed the car to the left, I went to the right in the right lane.
And why? Why did you go to the right lane?
Because thinking that they would see me, I figured they would end up stopping right there, and I didn't want a chance to hit them.
Okay. And at some point in time, we see you go back to the left. Why'd you do that?
Because I know they continued traveling to my right, so I realized that they weren't going to stop, so I tried to go left.
So here we see more of his explanation of why he went the way he went. Dr. Kenny Kinsey, what about the no lights and sirens? Would you talk about this, the fact that this is nighttime, 90 miles an hour? How bad is this in terms of something a member of law enforcement could do that could potentially have a lethal result like this one did?
Julie, as an administrator, it was probably one of the biggest complaints that I ever received from the citizenry. And it's really tough for law enforcement because the two biggest complaints, and I categorize those separately, is your officers are speeding or it takes your officers too long to get here. And in this situation, we don't have the latter because by his own admission, he didn't have a call. He wasn't going to a scene. So really and truly, I don't see any way out of this. I believe he was sincere, and it's just a big problem. That vehicle is far deadlier in some circumstances than that sidearm that's carried by law enforcement. And usually an agency has to get burned before they get really serious about enforcing their own policies.
Thank you so much for your time and your expertise, Dr. Kenny Kinsey. We have to let you go. You have many other cases you're working on. You're in the private sector now. If anybody doesn't know, you have your own business. Kenny Kinsey and Associates take cases all over and offer expert review. Thank you so much for looking at this one for us. Randolph Rice is coming with us. Do the same at home, please. When we come back, we're going to Florida. Live look right now. There it is. The Great Seal of the beautiful state of Florida, where this trial for Donna Adelson is happening. We're going to talk about her son Rob's testimony. Yes, her estranged son, we don't hear much about, came into court. We'll be back.
The queen come through, y'all better move back.
Cardi B is back in the courtroom, facing civil allegations for allegedly attacking a security guard.
The Cardi B assault trial. Trial coverage today on Court TV.
Saturday nights on ION is our night. Let's go! Double headers every Saturday at 7 and 10 p.m. Eastern. The new Saturday Night Out is on ION all season long.
Welcome back. Now for what's tipping the scales of justice. Take a look at the courtroom. Live look at Harvey Adelson and a packed gallery getting ready for day number 3 of his wife Donna Adelson's trial. And for some, the big moment that they had been waiting for was the moment where they would see a less known member of the Adelson family and hear from him. That's right. This is Donna's estranged son, Rob Adelson. So brother to Charlie and Wendi. He's the oldest of the Adelson kids. He's a very respected doctor. And here he's describing his mom. Take a listen.
Who is the leader in the family? Who tends to run the show?
I think my mom.
Okay, so Donna Adelson?
Yes.
Would you describe Donna Adelson's personality as being more controlling or more laid back?
I think more on the controlling side.
So what did you think of Rob Adelson, and did he tip the scales of justice? Let's talk about it. Let's bring back in our legal eagles, Noah Pines and Randolph Rice. Okay, Noah, what'd you think of Rob?
I think Rob has some mommy issues, clear. You know, and I heard the prosecutor ask this question yesterday a couple times. You know, parenting style is different. One may be the more vocal one may be more, behind the scenes, but I mean, I don't know. Again, are you making points like that? Is she making? I don't think she's making points with these questions at all.
Prosecutor, you mean? Yeah.
Sure. In every family, mother, father, one is a little bit more vocal, one's a little quieter. Sometimes it's the husband, sometimes it's the wife. That doesn't mean that they're not a team in the way they raise their kids. And what does this have to do with anything?
Yeah, a fair comment. Randolph, what do you say? What do you think of Rob, please?
I thought Rob was good. I mean, he certainly is not the, the best witness, I think, that's going to take the stand. A lot of people have been saying that today. But he certainly provides some background about Donna. He shows that she was controlling. He shows the lack of sort of the concern about Dan's death. But look, I mean, my mother's controlling, and I don't think she's going to go and coordinate some sort of hit.
No.
But it's just like different personalities. I understand that.
Sure. Appreciate it. Let's take a look at another clip from Rob. This is where he's saying that his mother told him not to talk to law enforcement.
After that conversation with, you said it was the FBI earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay. After that conversation with the FBI, did Donna Adelson ever say anything to you about having talked to law enforcement or the FBI?
It was either that afternoon or the next day, but, and she called me and said, just want to let you know, if the police come around, don't talk to them.
Okay, so she told you not to talk to law enforcement.
Correct.
Did you let her know that you already had talked to law enforcement?
Yeah, I said I already did.
What did she say to that?
She said, "Oh, well, you don't know anything anyway."
You don't know anything anyway?
Correct.
Exactly, because he's a good one. He wasn't part of anything. Right. I feel so sorry for him. Noah, how about you?
She gave good advice. I would tell somebody, don't talk to law enforcement.
Don't talk to law enforcement.
Julie, if you told me, I'd be like, don't talk to law enforcement. Correct, because they're going to take it and twist it, and you don't have a lawyer. That's sound advice. Again, make your point, prosecutor. These are just we're so far out here, and there's either nothing here in the middle, or she hasn't gotten to it. And I have a feeling there's really nothing in the middle, because otherwise you'd lead with that.
With Rob, I hear you. So you didn't feel like there was much that was tipping the scales other than controlling mom, helicopter mom.
Controlling mom. Raise your hand if you have a controlling mom, right? Every hand goes up. Hands up, hands up.
All right, Randall, what do you say? What do you think about poor Rob? I feel so bad for him. This guy's a respected doctor, and look at what has gone on. His brother Charlie's jailed for definitely being part of this. It's questionable whether his mom was, and I would say it's questionable with his sister Wendi too. I think charges could be coming her way any day.
Yeah, Julie, I was just about to say the same thing. Mom's looking at the rest of her life in prison, and I think even Wendi may be the next one to sort of the shoe to drop after they're done with this trial, because they're not only just trying her, but they're putting people on the stand under oath right now, collecting evidence that they can use in the future against Wendi.
Yeah, definitely, Randolph. Great point. Let me ask you both a quick question before we have to go. We got about 30 seconds. But looking at Donna here, as we're looking at the live picture of her sitting there getting ready for day 3, her attorney hinted that she will testify. But again, she can change her mind. The jury didn't hear that. That was in a pretrial hearing. What do you think? Can she help herself by getting on the stand? Noah?
Very few defendants help themselves. So I would say the answer is going to be no.
Randolph, what do you say?
I think this shows she's the controlling mother. If she wants to get on that stand, that's, again, her desire to want to control the scene and control the narrative.
I appreciate you both. I think she's going to testify. I do. I think that hint was a strong hint, but we'll see. It's early on, and whether she helps herself, that's tough. I feel like, why not roll the dice, right? This is bad. She could go away for the rest of her life.